Today I've got a review of BeanPlus, which is a slow drip cold brew coffee maker. And it was fully funded on IndieGogo sometime in 2016, I believe. And BeanPlus graciously sent me a sample BeanPlus to review. So let's get right into it with an unboxing here. And you can see just here on the side what are some of the things that sets the BeanPlus apart. Well, it's got a patented slow drip valve, which I'll get to show you in a little bit, but it's really all about drip consistency. The reason that this is important is because we want to ensure that we're having the same extraction time or total brew time if we want to replicate satisfactory or excellent results with our cold brew. So that's kind of what sets us apart from alternative slow drip cold brewers, in the sense that they can't really get this functionality down. I've found, at least in some of the other ones that I've reviewed, like the Brewer, drip consistency is a big issue, and we're going to find out with the slow drip cold brewer from BeanPlus that just really isn't the case. So here's what comes in the box. For starters, we've got some AeroPress-esque filters. These ones look to be natural paper. And these are some water filters here. So it comes with, it looks like about 12. And then the all glass carafe, which is really nice. Although I do have to say that it would have been nice if it had a little beak for easy pouring. Then we've got the grounds chamber. So a paper filter goes there at the bottom, and then you add the ground coffee and put a paper filter on the top. And finally, we have the water reservoir. Now this is made of plastic. It's got a stainless steel top that is removable. And there is the patented drip valve there at the bottom, which simply can be turned clockwise or counterclockwise to adjust the drip rate. Now, it is all plastic, which is too bad, but hey, we've got some good water level indicators here, pretty clearly marked, and it takes about 500 milliliters. This translates to about 4 cups of 4-ounce cold brew coffee concentrate, which of course you'll probably want to dilute depending on the type of drink that you're going to make. So this is how you use it. You just fill up the water reservoir at the top with cold or room temperature water, and you can see that the drip valve is already going to work. And then of course you're going to want to add the stainless steel top to make sure no extra contaminants or dust gets into the water. But you do have that water filter down there between the drip valve and basically the rest of the reservoir to help prevent any additional contaminants. And then this is how you adjust the drip valve, by just turning the knob. Obviously it's ideal to do this before adding water, but it's not too cumbersome to do it afterwards either, in case it isn't to your liking. And then the water will just drip consistently. I like to do it at about 1 drip per second. And you can see it's probably a little bit faster than that right now. This is what the coffee looks like once it starts to finally reach the carafe. I got a few grounds in there, and that's just because I forgot to add a paper filter. Alright, so let's go over what I like and dislike about the BeanPlus slow drip cold brew coffee maker. For one, I really like the design. As you can see, it's just a beautiful piece of coffee maker art, with the stainless steel grounds chamber in the middle of this all glass carafe, and then it's got the little silicone band there at the bottom to prevent condensation buildup. No coasters necessary. Really a good touch by the folks at BeanPlus. Just from a design perspective, I think they nailed it. The aesthetics are great. The second major thing that I really like about the BeanPlus is the drip valve itself. It's extremely consistent, and you really have a lot of control in terms of not only the drip speed, but when it comes to adding the water to the reservoir, this is what I think is really cool about it. You can turn the valve all the way into the off position by rotating it counterclockwise, and therefore you can just put the reservoir right on top of a scale like I have in this demonstration here, and it doesn't even have to be attached to the carafe when you do this. You just add your water, and then you can adjust the drip valve right afterwards. Now, as far as what I don't like about the BeanPlus, the lack of a beak on the carafe leads to some spills like this. Not a huge deal, but still kind of annoying. Second thing I take issue with, and really the only other thing, to be honest, is the price of the BeanPlus itself. Retailing at about $100. This is certainly not the cheapest way to make cold brew coffee. And if you're just getting started with cold brew, I would just recommend putting your ground coffee in a pot, stirring it around with some cold water, letting it steep for about 12 hours, and then filtering it through a paper filter. If you're not satisfied with the results of that, then maybe you can start looking into some of the cold brew coffee maker options out there. But at $100, this is not cheap by any means, and it's not even the cheapest option amongst slow drip cold brew coffee makers. Their closest competition that I can think of, the Brewer, which I reviewed before, retails at $80. So if they can bring that price down, I think it would be pretty cool. Granted, you're basically paying a $20 premium for a more consistent drip, although I haven't reviewed the second version of the cold brewer, which I imagine has improved on that drip inconsistency a little bit. So wrapping things up, how do you know if the BeanPlus is for you? Well, for starters, if you're already certain that you prefer slow drip cold brew coffee over immersion cold brew coffee, then I do think that the BeanPlus is the best option and really the best value of all other slow drip cold brew coffee makers. So while I mentioned before that the Brewer is slightly less expensive by about $20 currently at the time of this video, the BeanPlus has a way better drip valve that is more reliable and more consistent. I also think it's more efficient in terms of how you adjust it. You can turn the valve all the way off with the reservoir sitting on a scale like I demonstrated earlier. And overall, I think it's just a more reliable way of making slow drip cold brew coffee. There's no big hourglass that you're going to have to find room for in your kitchen like the Kyoto. Really, the only vulnerable or delicate part is the carafe itself, but you can see that the glass is really thick, and I wouldn't be too concerned about breaking it. Even if I did, I could substitute the carafe out with something else that is just as strong, if not stronger. So plenty of versatility with the BeanPlus.